The geopolitical landscape has just shifted in a way that should terrify anyone watching the global economy because Iran has just launched a direct, high-intensity strike on a major U.S. allied base in the Gulf, putting America's most advanced defense systems to the ultimate test under fire. You are about to see the exclusive breakdown of this massive escalation, the secret failures of the billion-dollar defense shield, and exactly how this chaos is going to hit your wallet right here in Malaysia. This is the moment the world has been dreading since Operation Epic Fury began, and I am going to give you the raw, unfiltered truth that the mainstream media is too afraid to touch. If you are listening to this right now, help me prove something wrong. My Singaporean friend once told me that I wouldn't even reach 500 subscribers because he said people in our region only care about entertainment. But I refuse to believe that because I know how much we Malaysians value deep, serious discussion on global issues that actually affect our lives. Help me show him that we Malaysians are a community that stands together and stays informed, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button to join our movement. Assalamualaikum. Now, to understand why the world is on edge, we have to look at the sheer scale of what just happened. This isn't just another minor skirmish. We are talking about a coordinated barrage of ballistic missiles and hundreds of one-way attack drones hitting targets from Kuwait to the United Arab Emirates. While the U.S. and its partners have been pounding Iran since February 28, the Iranian regime has just proven it still has teeth, specifically targeting the U.S. Fifth Fleet base in Bahrain and key radar sites in the UAE. Later in this video, I am going to reveal a shocking fact about the actual cost of a single hour of this war that the Pentagon hasn't officially publicized yet, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that insight. The credibility of America's maximum pressure strategy is currently being shredded on the global stage. Since the start of March 2026, we have seen Brent crude oil prices skyrocket past the $100 per barrel mark for the first time in years, settling recently around $100.46. For us in Malaysia, this isn't just a number on a screen. It is the reason your transport costs and grocery bills are about to climb. Iran is leveraging its position in the Strait of Hormuz, effectively choking the world's most important oil artery, and even as President Trump releases emergency reserves, the markets are staying in a state of absolute panic. Let's talk about the defense systems. You've probably heard of the THAAD system, the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, which is supposed to be the gold standard of protection. On March 1st, a THAAD radar in the UAE was actually damaged by an Iranian strike, a moment that sent a chill through military circles because it proved these invincible shields can be blinded. When you look at the interception rates, the UAE has been doing incredible work, knocking down 241 out of 262 ballistic missiles, which is about a 92% success rate. But in a war of attrition, that 8% that gets through is where the devastation lives. I was speaking to a contact in the shipping industry recently, someone who deals with the tankers coming through our region, and he told me that the risk premium is no longer a theoretical calculation. He said that for every day the Strait of Hormuz remains closed or contested, the insurance costs for a single tanker can jump by hundreds of thousands of dollars. That cost doesn't just disappear. It gets passed down the line until you pay for it at the pump in Kuala Lumpur or Johor Bahru. We are seeing a real-time demonstration of how a conflict thousands of miles away can reach into a Malaysian household and tighten the budget. Do you agree that no nation can truly be safe if its primary defense radars are being targeted? Do you agree that a $100 oil price is a disaster for global recovery? And do you definitely agree that we need to know the truth about how many lives are being lost in this conflict? If you're nodding your head, then you are part of the yes ladder of people who realize that this isn't just a foreign problem. It is a global emergency. Iran's new supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, has made his first public statement vowing to keep up these attacks until U.S. bases are shut down, which means the finish the job rhetoric coming from Washington is meeting a brick wall of Iranian defiance. Contrast the official statements with the reality on the ground. The Pentagon says they are winning decisively and without mercy, yet we are seeing satellite images of damaged hangars and burning refineries in Bahrain. On March 5th, 2 Iranian missiles struck a refinery near Mamir, proving that even with the best air defenses in the world, the sheer volume of drones and missiles can eventually saturate a target. It is like trying to stop a torrential rainstorm with an umbrella. Eventually, you're going to get wet. The U.S. has already spent over $11 billion in just the first week of this operation, which breaks down to nearly $1 billion every single day. Think about the humor in the situation if it weren't so tragic. You have world leaders arguing about rules of engagement, while the price of a barrel of oil jumps 10% in a single afternoon. It is like two neighbors arguing over a fence while the entire street is on fire. The reality is that the Strait of Hormuz is currently a graveyard for 16 oil tankers that have been hit as of this week. Iran is using small, low-cost mine layers and sea drones to harass the most powerful navy in history, and while the U.S. has sunk over 50 Iranian vessels, the Mosquito Fleet strategy is still causing global economic heart attacks. I remember a story from the early 2000s about how the U.S. military conducted a war game called Millennium Challenge, where a red team, using simple tactics and small boats, absolutely humiliated the high-tech blue team. It seems history is repeating itself. Iran is avoiding a head-on naval battle and instead focusing on asymmetric strikes. They aren't trying to win a war, they are trying to make the war too expensive for the U.S. to continue. When it costs you $2 million to fire an interceptor missile at a drone that costs $20,000, you don't need to be a math genius to see who wins the war of the wallet. We have to look at the human cost as well. While the headlines focus on the bases, the collateral damage is heartbreaking. Reports have emerged of a U.S. strike hitting a school east of Bandar Abbas, allegedly killing over 170 people. These are the mini peaks of horror that fuel the fire of regional anger. It creates a cycle where every strike intended to deter, Iran actually provides them with more domestic support and more reason to strike back at U.S. allies like Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. This is why the ceasefire talks in February failed so spectacularly. The trust isn't just broken, it has been incinerated. Why should you stay tuned for the next few minutes? Because I'm about to break down the climax of this current standoff, the secret reason why the U.S. hasn't been able to fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz despite having the most powerful navy on Earth. You see, the U.S. has claimed to have made the Iranian navy combat ineffective, but the reality of naval mines is a different story. Even one or two mines in a shipping lane can stop global trade because no captain is going to risk a $300 million vessel and a crew of 20 on a maybe. This invisible threat is what is keeping oil at $100. You have to ask yourself, if the U.S. is winning as decisively as they claim, why are the Gulf states like the UAE and Saudi Arabia reportedly angry and discontented with Washington? The answer is simple. They feel like they are being used as a shield. While U.S. assets are protected by the best tech, the debris from intercepted missiles is falling on residential towers in Dubai and neighborhoods in Manama. On March 7th, debris from an intercepted drone killed a person in Dubai's Al Burshah neighborhood. To a resident there, it doesn't matter if the missile was intercepted, if the metal rain still takes a life. This brings us to the yes ladder again. Don't you think the people of the Gulf deserve to be protected as much as the military bases? Don't you believe that transparency about civilian casualties is a basic human right? And don't you agree that we need a diplomatic exit before this turns into a third world war? The tension is at its peak because both sides are doubling down. Trump has stated he wants the mines removed immediately, while Iran's leadership is calling on people across the Middle East to rise up and shut down the American bases themselves. This is no longer a shadow war, it is a bright, burning conflict in the heart of the world's energy supply. We are seeing a massive shift in how alliances work. Gulf states are now looking beyond the U.S. for their security, realizing that maximum protection was a promise that didn't quite hold up under the pressure of 1,000 Iranian drones. They are back-channeling with Tehran, trying to find a way to stop being the target of retaliatory strikes. This is the counterintuitive insight. The more the U.S. strikes Iran to protect its allies, the more those allies actually become targets. It is a catch-22 that is leaving Washington increasingly isolated in its own coalition. I've seen this pattern before in business, where a big company tries to bully a smaller competitor into submission, only to find out that the smaller guy has nothing left to lose and is willing to burn the whole industry down just to make a point. That is exactly what we are seeing with the Iranian regime right now. They are facing internal protests, a weakened economy, and a military onslaught, yet they are choosing to escalate. Why? Because they believe that if they can make the global cost of this war hit $1 trillion, the West will eventually be forced to blink. As we move toward the final reveal, you need to understand the logistics of this oil war. Malaysia, as a net exporter of petroleum but a heavy importer of refined products, is in a very strange position. While Petronas might see higher revenues from crude, the rakyat will see higher prices at the petrol station because the global refining and shipping costs are tied to these Gulf tensions. We are not safe from the economic fallout just because we have our own oil. The global market is a single, interconnected web, and Iran just threw a massive rock into the center of it. The biggest reveal of all is the secret cost I mentioned earlier. Beyond the $11 billion in direct military spending, the hidden cost is the degradation of the U.S. interceptor stockpile. Every time a $3 million Patriot missile is fired at a cheap drone, America's ability to fight a future conflict with a larger power like China or Russia is weakened. We're watching a stockpile war, where Iran is successfully trading its low-cost inventory for America's high-cost, high-tech reserves. This is the long-term strategy that should have every global strategist losing sleep tonight. So, here is the payoff for the promise I made at the beginning. America's defenses are under fire not just from missiles, but from the reality of economics and logistics. The impenetrable shield has holes, and the cost of maintaining it is becoming unsustainable. We've seen that Iran can hit THAAD radars, they can strike refineries, and they can keep the world's most important waterway closed despite being annihilated at sea. This is the new face of 21st century warfare, and it is messy, expensive, and incredibly dangerous for all of us. To wrap this up, remember these 3 key points. First, Iran's asymmetric strategy is successfully bypassing traditional naval power to hit the global economy where it hurts. Second, the cost of this war is reaching $1 billion a day, a burden that will eventually be felt by every consumer in the world through inflation and energy spikes. And finally, the diplomatic path is currently blocked by a pride trap where neither side can afford to look like they are the first to blink. If this deep dive helped you understand the chaos in the Gulf better than the 5-minute news clips, please help me grow this Malaysian community by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. I want to prove to my Singaporean friend that we are the most informed audience in the region. So drop a comment below and let me know, do you think the US can actually finish the job? Or is this war just getting started? Your support is what keeps this channel going. Thank you for watching, and stay alert, because the world is changing fast.